Hello, welcome to Parenting Differently, where we leave behind the old way of parenting and allow the gifts of parenthood to raise us. Different to perhaps how we were raised, different to how society keeps telling us to raise our kids, maybe even different than you expected. Just different. I'm your host, Anja Simmons, and I welcome you here to this space to really sort of sit with and hear from people and hear from myself on how we can switch up this whole parenting and be a catalyst for change. I am a trained British nanny, a yoga teacher, a mum of two big people, adults, I guess we could call them now. And I came to parenting thinking it might be easy, thinking it was just what you do. And I was unaware and definitely shocked by how deep a learning experience it was for me on the inside, and realizing that we were being raised together, that my children and I, as they were raising up, so was I. And today I'm excited to share, this is a take two actually. I don't know what happened to our first interview because it was a great interview and it's disappeared off into cyberspace. All my fault. And the lovely Dawn has agreed to come back and to re-record, so this will probably be quite different to our first time around. So I'd like to be introducing you to Dawn Bates. She lives a nomad lifestyle, sailing around the world. She's a long-distance parent. Let that sink in a minute. A long-distance parent. She's also an international bestseller, author coach, thought leader. And love this. Dawn's expertise lies in making you rethink your life whilst harnessing the deepest freedom of all, your own truth. It's going to be a good one. Stay tuned. So welcome Dawn to Parenting Differently. I'm so excited you're here. I told in the promo at the beginning there saying how this is take two, so I really appreciate you bringing your time in again and giving me some more of your wisdom.
You're very welcome. I was like, yeah, let's go round two. I'm happy to talk with you any day of the week.
Awesome. So first question, who are you and who are you parenting?
I'm free.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who I am. I'm free. I'm not free as in like, you can just pick my brains for kind of free, but yeah, I'm Dawn and I live the freedom life. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's amazing. Private life. I coach authors into creating the author life they want and the legacy in the realms of social justice and human rights. I sail around the world, haven't stopped traveling for 4 years, including during this latest pandemic. And yeah, and I parent two incredible humans called Khalid and Nasser. And I'm the naughtiest one out of all of us.
That's not a surprise.
Not for you, no. Honestly, they roll their eyes at me. They're like, okay, mother. I'm like, what? How I got to be their mother. I'm like, yes, that was cool. Honestly, I do pinch myself at how blessed I am.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So in your parenting from a distance
Mm.
that you the way you're at,
Yeah.
how did it feel to make that decision?
Oh, like someone has just ripped out my uterus and my heart and put them through a washing machine on fast spin. And
Ooh,
yeah,
ouch.
yeah, it's not, it wasn't easy because what I'd been through in the 3 years leading up to it, um, I'd been accused and arrested for willful neglect and abandonment. And I spent 3 years fighting a court case to prove that the police had made up these charges. And which, you know, if your listeners want the full story, then they can go read Crossing the Line. You know, it was a wrongful arrest. And it broke me. And then I got to the point I was so exhausted from parenting, and I'd just been through a divorce from their father. We just before that happened, we'd lived through the Egyptian uprising, and it had got to the point where I was like, I just need a timeout. I needed to put myself on the timeout step, you
Mm.
know. I just needed time to, I couldn't be the mother I wanted to be. I couldn't be the woman I wanted to be, and I couldn't be the leader that I wanted to be. And I couldn't be in congruence with my message and what I have been coaching other people on, whether it's their business, their parenting, or their author life, or their social and social justice and human rights endeavors. And it's like, how can I be of service to anyone if I'm not being of service to myself?
Right.
And so I said to the boys, come on, I've always said I'm going to take you to New Zealand. I had no way of knowing how I was going to pay for the flights or the holiday in New Zealand. And then my cleaner at the time, who she was going to dump her little puppy, and I was like, no, I'll take her. And I was like, how the fuck am I going to have another dog? Like, how am I going to provide for another dog, you know? But I just couldn't bear the thought of this little puppy. She was adorable. So, this is my baby girl. How could she, like, and I was like, I'll just take her, it'll work out. Something will happen. And then several weeks later, I mean, I sacked the cleaner because I was like, I don't want you in my house if you're going to dump a dog on the side of the road. Nasty creature. So I fired her, and then a few weeks later, my dog and my two dogs got together and made magic, and then we had puppies, and then that we sold the puppies, and there was the tickets for New Zealand. I'll tell you, I manifest some pretty incredible stuff. We went to New Zealand. I'd bought a 6-month return ticket. I was like, this is like 6 months, it's either make or break.
And it was you with both boys at that point?
Yeah, both boys have always been with me, apart from the last few years, which is really interesting because people think that I've done something really bad to have lost custody of my children. And I'm like, no, they're having man time. They're teenage boys. They want to eat pizza and have Alexa change the lights and switch the lights off and announce things instead of their mum shouting at them like, are you two going for your dinner? Now they just have Alexa announce. I've been replaced by Alexa in many ways. She changes the lights, she changes the channels, she does it, she finds out all the answers for them. But yeah, it was really painful, you know. And I remember like my youngest son, he was 11 at the time, he goes, Mama, you have to go do this. You're not just here to lead us, you're here to lead others.
Whoa, what that would be a tipping point, right?
Oh, that was like a punch in the heart.
Yeah, but permission, no. Maybe you were grappling with permission.
No, I was just hugging them and like breathing them in as much as I could on the final days before they left. And they were like, Mama, you just got to go do this. It's like, I've always wanted to live at sea. I told my mum when I was 8 years old, I was going to go live at sea.
Wow.
And when I left, my mum was like, well, it's took you bloody long enough. Only 32 years. And I was like, all right then, Mother. But yeah, it's painful. And, you know, and every day I think about them. Every day, like, you know, even when I was sailing across the Atlantic, I saw them with like this massive minke whale came up and, you know, was swimming around the side of the boat. And I turned around and went, boys. I hadn't been with them for like 2.5 years. No, 1.5 years. And I turned around and I said, boys. And I was about to say, come look at this. And my heart just broke and tears just flooded. But again, if I didn't take that time for me to find out who I was and what was important to me, how can I even say to my boys, you have to find out who you are. You have to do what's important for you, not me, not your dad. You are not living my hopes and dreams for you. You're finding out who you are, what's important to you, and you've got to go do that for you.
That's
my views.
Ultimately, that's it. You can't talk it and then not do it, right? You can't.
Absolutely.
You can, but it's not. We all know. Then the kids are like, yeah, but I heard you do this. Oh, but I didn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Oh, I grew up with that. I absolutely grew up with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Because I said so. I mean, how damaging.
So what do you think? Actually, this just popped in my head. What do you think would have happened if you hadn't have saved yourself in that way?
We'd be living in misery.
Yeah.
I would have been angry. I would have been like, even just, Uh,
Doesn't bear thinking about.
no, I can't even begin to, like, because I was snapping at the boys a lot more. Well, I would say, I wouldn't say a lot more. I mean, the boys and I, we've always had a very fun and playful, I mean, most people don't think I'm their mum because they're just like, you know, and it's not that I'm friends with my children. And I think parents who say that my children are my best friends, you've got some growing up to do. You really have. Because if your children are your best friends, what on earth is going on with your own social circle, and how codependent and toxic is that?
I love
And what a
Dawn's
pressure.
truths. I love Dawn's truths. Yep.
It
You
is.
say it
It's
as it is. Yeah.
codependent toxicity, and what a pressure to put on your children. Your children don't want to be best friends with their mum. Like, no one wants to be best friends with their mum. I mean, does that mean you can't have, you know, I mean, I love going go-karting with my kids and paintballing and diving and jet skiing and all of that. And, you know, having mad, crazy walks and, you know, eating all the cookies before the movies even started, and then go, oi, they're my biscuits, you know. And this thing, it's like, you can have all these great times with your children, but that doesn't mean they're your best friends. Like, you're not friends with your children. You are parents to your children.
Right.
And you have to remember that when you say my children are my best friends, did you ask them if they want to be best friends with you?
Yeah. Yeah. I find that's the whole concept smothering and
Oh,
making and
just put a
the
pillow over the
process of
face.
that. And that's still that old way of parenting, that the kids are there to fulfill you. They're not. They're not. They absolutely
No,
are
they're
not.
not.
That's why we're as messed up as the world is, because it's the wrong way of being.
Our children are here to teach us and whether how to be selfless. Our children are here to be, you know, be who they want to be. And when I say our children are here to teach us, I don't mean it's their responsibility to raise us as adults, because, and also equally, we're not raising children, we're raising adults. Children are already children. They know how to be children. But as parents, we are raising adults. And until we understand that distinction, then parenting dynamics are always going to have a level. I mean, these parents that think their children are the perfect Peter and Penelope, like, no, they're not. They will make mistakes. They will say unkind things. They will kick someone in the playground, or they will lash out, you know, because they are still managing and coming to terms with all of these emotions that are raging through their bodies, you know.
And this perfect idea is such a ridiculous concept, because
Yeah,
how can you expect it of someone else if you're not? And for sure we're not.
yeah,
I'm fully imperfect, you know, like as
I'm
humans.
perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect. That's myself. But you know, it's a weight that we keep putting on people, you know,
Mm,
and our children especially, because everything we're not, we want them to then be, to
yeah.
show
And
that
then
they're
we
good
wonder
mummies.
why there are eating disorders, self-confidence issues, higher rates of suicide, you know. And I've had so many people say to me, like, oh, you think more of your business than you do of your children.
Oof.
I and my ex-husband were saying to me, you know, because we co-parent really effectively, because one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is, even though we're divorced, we're still really well connected, because we didn't marry each other because we loved each other. We married each other because we knew that we'd both make great parents.
Oh, interesting.
And we fell in love with each other because
Mm,
of those qualities,
right.
and a few other qualities. I mean, he's really quite handsome,
Yes.
and but the thing is, it's when you consciously choose someone to parent, you're raising a human being.
Yeah.
How can you just get pregnant? How can you just marry someone just because you love them if they're not going to make a great parent? If you want to have children, choose someone you know you can parent well together with. Because then if things don't work out between you, then you've still got that pact. You've still got, because you're not going to get involved with a relationship and have children with someone who's going to make a great parent if they're not going to be a great husband or partner, whatever whatever the dynamics and the letters are these days. I can't keep up with it. I can hardly keep up with my own brain, let alone figuring out what's going on in the letters community. And that's not being dismissive of those. But again, when we're looking at the letters community, you have children that are wounded, that are going through so much confusion, and they don't know how to express themselves. And then they're, and I was on a podcast the other day and I was saying, these are our children. These are people's children that don't feel seen and heard, and it's our duty as parents to create an environment for our children to be seen and heard. When most parents these days are either overworked, tired, on their phones, on their computers, they're not paying attention to their children. So when my ex-husband said to me, you parent these boys more actively, and it's a higher quality of parenting than he has seen in a long time, even though I'm thousands of miles away from them.
That's interesting. It's really powerful.
Well, I mean, how many mothers are running around doing everything for their children, picking up and tidying their rooms, not teaching the children responsibility or how to do it for themselves, making all the dinners, running them here, there, and everywhere, instead of saying, right, there's your bus money, figure out how to get to your football training yourself. These are life skills children need.
Right.
My children fly around the world all by themselves now. My youngest, when he came out to Brazil, when I was there, my eldest son, I was like, right, there's some money. Figure out how to get the bus, figure out how to get your brother to the airport. There's a hotel overnight. I've had to find a hotel for him overnight that would accept someone that was under 18 that didn't have a parent with them.
Oh, right.
And my youngest son navigated Gatwick. They navigated their way from the north of England down to London through Gatwick Airport, and then into Brazil. And he was 14. And if we do everything for our children, we steal from them. We steal education from them. We steal responsibility from them. And the more trust we give our children, the more confident they have, the more trust they have in themselves, the more responsible they'll become, and the more they'll be able to be better members of society. But then they feel seen and heard.
Yeah,
the conversations I've had.
They are capable.
Yeah, they are.
They are capable. Like they feel capable. I mean, that's a big one. That I feel no matter what situation I'm in, I'm going to be able to figure this out. I'm going to be able to, I've got tools. I know this isn't the end of the world. Let me figure the next, there's tools in place.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, we as parents and as adults, we expect young children to get everything right and to figure out like, what are you going to do as a job at 14? You've got to take your options. What are you going to do as a career? Most 40 and 50-year-olds have no idea what they're going to do with their career when they grow up, and they're 40 and 50 years old, and then you've got the thing, it's like if we listen to our children instead of talking at them or expecting them to know the answers, if we help them explore the answers, then they're going to be better able to express themselves. And I mentioned the letters community. I was on this podcast and I was saying, for me, I feel really sad because I know some of my friends' children are going through this transition, but we're there and we're like, okay, how can we help you? They're like, I don't know what help I need. I'm like, okay. And then we're there supporting them. And one of them said that, one of the things that came up, and I said to them, I said, one of the reasons why employers are really nervous about hiring people that are going through this, or really nervous about hiring kids that haven't got good grades, or really nervous, because there is their fear of court cases, not just whether it's, the letters community or whether it's people that, alternative.
Are you saying letters community?
Letters like the LGBTQXYZ one toast
okay.
3.
I thought that's what you meant, and then I'm like, hang on, maybe she's talking about community. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, well, see, I can't keep up with all the letters, so I just call them the letters community.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, let's clarify that. Okay.
But then again, it's like I've said to my children, what's your take on this? You teach me because this was not a thing that was around when I was at school. When I was at school, we only had one black girl in my school. Racism was rife, but our children are so much more open to ideas. I mean, they'd look at technology and they've got it more figured out before I've even finished figuring out how to turn it on. You know, our children can teach us so much.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're going to school with children that are happy to be in same-sex relationships, or that are going through these transgender, whatever they want to, and it's not, I'm not saying this because I want to be offensive. It's because I honestly don't know.
You have to
Like, my
educate
friend's
yourself.
son
Yeah, and they'll help you.
has been huge for me, you know, seeing him transition. I mean, when you look at him when he was a little girl, like it was like, I mean, I thought, I was like, well, was that fancy dress day? Because he looks like a little boy in a dress.
Right.
Because I've always been a boy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been a huge help to me, and just listening to the pain that they go through, you know. And as parents, we don't support each other enough. We're very quick to condemn one another. We're very quick to judge, oh, well, you know, so-and-so didn't go to football practice today. Oh, their parents are neglecting them. Oh, so-and-so's clothes aren't clean and tidy, you know, or they're not ironed. Well, you know what? He should have put his clothes in the washing machine when I told him to. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come to football practice in his last
that
week's
really
kit.
taps into this idea that we need to be perfect mums, perfect parents. We have to take this motherhood role, and in a complete mess up of ideas that we should do all that for them.
I call that mummy martyrdom.
Yeah, well, that's it. And they are representing me, and I want, you know, everybody wants, I love it when people say to me, oh, you're a good mother. I'm not saying me personally,
Ego.
I would have liked it, but, you know, this whole idea that that's what I'm seeking, as opposed to, wow, you're an awesome person. Wow, your kid's an awesome human.
Our children are not here to impress anybody but themselves. We're not here to impress anybody but themselves. And if we can't if we can't look at ourselves in the mirror and look at ourselves deep in the eye and say, you know what, I'm an awesome mother. If we cannot say that to ourselves, or I'm an awesome father, if we cannot say that to ourselves, then it doesn't matter what anybody else says. They can say it to us, but we won't believe them.
Yeah.
Because all those doubts will be
really,
through it. They'll be absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, our parents are not our children. You know, again, looking at, I'm not here to impress my parents. I'm not here to impress their friends. The lifestyle I have, I actually spoke to my mum a couple of weeks ago on this. I'm like, you know, where I grew up, you know, it's a very small village. There's only 200 people in the village, or when I grew up, there was only 200 people in the village. And I said, you know, how is my lifestyle and my public persona, the fact that, you know, people can Google lots about me, lots of it will be false, some of it will be true, and, you know, some of it is just PR rubbish. I mean, I say rubbish because it doesn't, like, they're just labels that people have said about me. And I sit here sometimes and I listen to how people introduce me. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, you know. And like, I'm on podcast. I mean, I'm on like at least 4 or 5 podcasts a week. You know, I'm in the news. I write for magazines, and I've got all, you know, I think, well, I don't know how many books I'm at now. I think I'm about 16 books or something. And it's not because I'm dismissive of it, but I still get excited when I finished a book. I'm like, oh my God, I just wrote a book. Like, and I get so excited, and, you know, and
what did your mum say? What was her?
She goes, I don't care what anybody says. I'm proud of you, and you're proud of yourself. That's all that matters. The boys are proud of you. Who gives a monkeys what anybody says? And my dad piped up, and like, my dad's always asleep in his chair. And he was like, I don't give a rat's ass, to be honest with you, Dawn. Like, and went back to sleep again. But this is the thing. People are very small-minded. People only see one side of something. And it was really interesting because the other day, when I told my boys that my books, several of my books in the Sacral series, which talks about abuses in society, starting from an individualistic perspective in book 1 all the way up to systemic and legal abuse in book 9. I sent them a message saying, oh my God, I've just done this, and like, wow. And my youngest said, he goes, God damn, save some success news for the rest of us. And that triggered me, not because of what he'd said, the fact that I knew he was saying it as a joke.
Yeah.
But it made me realize that there were other parts of my success that I was hiding because other people over the last few years have been really passive aggressive in their compliments, you know, the backhanded, spiteful, jealous compliments, even like on like some of the shows I've been on, you can like two of the hosts have made, you know, those backhanded comments, and you're just like, oh, just go away and grow up, and you can't say that on, you know,
on the show. Well, you could. You don't.
Well, I did. I actually did. What, were you jealous? But again, it's like the impact my career has had on my children. I always ask them, how do you feel about me doing this?
Mm-hmm.
It's a family, because it's not just my life that I'm impacting, it's their life, which is one of the reasons I've come off social media. Mm-hmm. Plus, I get more time to spend with them. I get more time to nourish myself. Mm-hmm. And that in turn inspires them. Yeah. I'm living my dream, and I can't expect my children to live their dream or even know what their dream is if I don't walk the talk.
Yeah. Wow. And the hardest part, parenting from a distance?
God, there's so many. I tell you what, one of the funniest, hardest parts, I know that sounds a bit weird. The other day, I hadn't spoken to Nasser. I mean, he's 14, he'll be 15 in January. Right. I hadn't spoken to him because he's been doing like end of term, like revisions, and like we're 6 hours, well, we're now 5 hours apart because of the daylight savings has just changed. So he's been deep in study mode. And so I hadn't spoken to him for about, I think it was like a week, like messaging, but I hadn't seen him in like we're on video here. And he came up on the screen, and oh my God, his voice has broken, and his jaw is more chiseled. He'd got the bum fluff on his top lip, and I was just like, oh my God. So even though I could say he's a grown man, or he could say he's a grown man, his body was telling me he was a grown man. And that was one of the things that when I was sailing across the Atlantic, I was offline for 3 months. It was brilliant. I loved it, apart from not being with my boys. Mm-hmm. But we arrived in Las Malvinas, also known by the Brits as the Falklands. But it's Las Malvinas, but we won't go on that political slant today. But I logged in, and my eldest son was sat there with a goatee, and I'm like, oh my God, he's got a goatee. Like everything inside of me was shaking. I'm like, what happened to my baby? What happened to my baby? Oh my God, my baby's a man. So that's hard.
Right, but it's also like it really cool sections, right? It jumps.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing them every single day. So it's one of those beautiful things where I get to see the growth in them. Mm-hmm. And also, you know, but the other thing is not having their hugs. I don't hug, like I believe that energy exchange is a real thing. Like when you touch me, like our energies are exchanging through touch. So I haven't had a hug with someone I love since my youngest son left Brazil in February. But watching them sleep, I mean, I miss tripping over their trainers. I miss their smelly socks. I miss going, will you do that bloody washing up, please? Or, you know, so they're the things that I miss.
Those are the harder parts.
Yeah, and I never thought I'd ever miss them bickering, but I do. But again, it's like I'm not there I miss my eldest son's 18th birthday because of this pandemic. You know, and these are things we talk about. I'm like, you know, I'm not there for you on your 18th birthday. And my eldest son's like, it's only a birthday. I mean, who made the rules up that we got to celebrate the 18th? Why can't we just celebrate the 25th or the 24th or something? Who said we have to celebrate the 18th or the 21st? Who said that? Oh, the card companies, mother, the marketing companies. Like, we're an international family. Becoming an adult is different in every country. I'm like, oh, you smart ass. Yeah. You know, and that's something I miss, being able to, you know, just give him a quick whack,
give him a little clip
on the shoulder.
But it puts it in, it's so awesome and creative that the things that we get attached to thinking they matter, when you have the conversation, you're thinking it should matter, and they're like, that part doesn't matter. And you're like, oh, well, if I can let that go, okay,
yeah.
Then I don't have to.
Again, our children are here to teach us what our triggers are and what our attachments are. And, you know, we teach each other, we grow together,
Yeah.
you know, and but without my children, like, what is my purpose? I've had to, you know, what is my purpose without my children? I've always wanted to be a mum, always. And to be away from them this long was never the plan,
Right.
you know, but
Pandemic.
you know, this, yeah, the pandemic. But this is the other thing, is like, you know, the conversations we're having around that global situation, you know, and how the concepts that we're like, the knowledge that they're being given at school is so totally different to what we're discussing as a family. My youngest has said, well, you know, he shared with me what he wants to do if things proceed the way that they're looking at proceeding in the UK. Right. And I'm like, you've got to do what's right for you. This is how I feel about it. I don't want you to base your choices on me, because that's narcissism. You know, enforcing your beliefs and your views and stopping your children from doing certain things. It's, you know, yes, we can guide them, and yes, we can say, oh, well, I really would prefer it if you didn't.
Right.
And these are the reasons why, but I can't control them.
Yeah. And
I'm their parent. I'm not their prison
that's
guard.
an ongoing learning, right? Each new step, each new thing is this ongoing remembering. I mean, you can barely just control yourself. Like it's imperative that we don't control them.
Especially when I'm under the water with my scuba gear on, and I'm like, oh, fish. Where's he going? Bugger. Where's my buddy gone? And that's the thing. It's like, you know.
Yeah, beautiful.
We can't. They're no different to how to us, and how, you know, and looking back at the things that our parents tried to enforce and impose upon us, and how we responded, the lifestyles we lead. You know, it's like I was doing a career coaching workshop, coaching session, like when I lived back in the north of England. And one of the things that, I mean, this whole room went silent. And I was like, well, I didn't kind of expect that, but well, I kind of did. But I was saying that if you are getting up in the morning without spending time with the family that you're working to provide for, and you're putting on a shirt and tie, and then you're going to work, you're coming home exhausted, you're moaning about work, you're moaning about the people that you work with, you're moaning about your clients, there's never enough money left at the end of the month. That is the example of work that you're setting your children.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of kids don't want to work. That's why a lot of them spend, you know, if you haven't got time for your children, then you're telling them they're not valuable. You're telling them that they're not important to you.
It's reevaluating what you really want, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
What's the big goal for yourself, and what's the big goal for them? You know, the future goal, the future person that's going out there, not in stuff, not like, oh, Dr. Lloyd, I don't mean that, but I mean in terms of,
do you want them to feel loved?
That life, yeah. Is that all it can be? And you're okay with that?
Do you want them to feel wanted? Yeah. Because and I don't know if it's because I've been a coach for the last 22 years, that a lot of the adults I work with, and the kids that I've worked with, both as a teacher and as a teenage coach, a lot of these people, the reason why they want to be seen so badly by social media, or, you know, in the traditional media, is because they never felt seen at home. They never felt wanted at home, because the parents were working stupid long hours, and they were an afterthought, or they were a trophy. They did, you know, mummy wants you to play for the private school's rugby team, or, you know, I want you to be, you know, the best celloist, or I want you, you know, you've got to become a doctor to continue with the family lineage. They never got to choose. Then they're not. That's damaging. That is really toxic parenting.
That's why there's a lot of middle-aged and upper middle-aged people still unhappy and make big changes, because they're like, okay, I just realized this is my life. This is my life.
And they've got to a point in life where they've realized that they've been doing everything for everybody else, and they've never done it for themselves.
Yeah.
you know. And if that's the model of behavior and the model of life we want to set our children, then we're going to have more of the same. We're going to see our children get married and, you know, get a job, have 2.4 kids and the white picket fence and all that stereotypical bumper car sticker thing. And then they're going to get to a point where they're in an unhappy marriage. And if you're staying in an unhappy marriage, then you guaranteed your children are watching it and learning it. And that's the model of relationship you're teaching them to have, an unhappy relationship. And if you are, as a parent, allowing your partner or talking negatively about the opposite gender, like, for example, I have a duty to my boys to set a good example of a healthy relationship. And I have a duty as a woman to set an example, a healthy example, to my nieces, you know, because they're watching.
Right.
They're watching their crazy Auntie Dawn sail around the world and do all these mad, crazy things. And, you know, but again, if I'm speaking ill of their father, of my boy's father, I'm also speaking ill of them, because, you know, because they are part of him and they love him. And it's making them question their choices. It's making them question, am I right to think well of my dad? But if we're like a lot of women, they emasculate men. They think it's feminism, but it's not. They emasculate men, or they allow men to treat them badly. And then that's the example that we set. And so our nieces and our daughters think that that's how they should be treated by men, or that's how they should speak about men, and vice versa. When men speak badly of women or abuse women, then that's the example they're setting for their sons or for their daughters.
And it feels so obvious when you say it, yet it obviously isn't, because it still goes on.
Because they're still wounded.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got the help they needed. They haven't taken time out. And this is the thing, my ex-husband said that when he's been to these men's circles, and like when they're in the, you know, and they're like, oh, they're learning about what I'm doing. And the fact that he's getting to raise his children on his own and in his way, some of the men are jealous, because they're like, I wish my wife would bugger off. Let me parent my boys or parent my children. Because as women, we have children with our partners.
I just love the British humor. That's what makes me laugh.
Yeah, I didn't really notice my British humor until recently. I didn't realize I was so British.
Oh, really?
But, you know, it's like, as women, we don't allow men to parent. We just have them as a sperm donor and a bank account and a battering ram a lot of the time. And, you know, what was the point of having a relationship and creating a beautiful, you know, connection and, you know, saying, I really want to have children with you, if you don't actually allow your partner to actually parent? And then everything they do, you criticize them for, because they've not done it your way. No, they're not going to do it your way, because they're not you. Let them parent the way they want to, because when you don't allow them to parent, you're stealing from them. You're stealing a beautiful journey of growth, of connection. You're stealing a connection between your partner and your children. That is robbing your children of a beautiful connection with their other parent. Why would you do that?
It's so interesting you're using the word stealing, because I fully believe that. And in the yoga tradition, and it's in my book, and it's also in some of the talks I'm giving recently on yamas in yoga. I don't know how into yoga you are, but there's yamas as a moral code. And one of them is a steya, it's called, and it's non-stealing. And with the idea being, we've got to be aware of when we're stealing time, when we're stealing energy, when we're stealing relationships,
and education.
It is fully there. So I love that you're using that word, because it's a strong word, but it is freaking what we're doing.
It is exactly what we're doing, and
to others,
we're stealing our own peace and tranquility by being a martyr. I mean, like I said, I call it mummy martyrdom. We think we have to martyr ourselves in everything we live, you know, and give up who we are that's a really old model of parenting where the mother is doing everything for the children, and staying chained to the kitchen sink and working
But
goodness
society
knows.
is so slow to change that. So we come into
I
it,
know.
think even we come into it like thinking, oh, this is, where we're at. And so quickly, or for me, I speak for me, all those thoughts were coming in, all this idea of I've got to prove I make homemade meals and I've got to prove that they're clean and tidy and that they're well behaved and they're blah, 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 until I could get conscious and realize that was actually all my own stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to.
Yeah.
If we're changing things, that's how you have to do it, and you have to change it with
Absolutely.
your unit.
But with this current model of parenting that so many people are using, like I would hazard a guess that, maybe it's around about 98%, 99% of the world are using a model of parenting that is hundreds of years old.
Yeah. We don't
You
have
know,
farms for them to go work in. We
no,
don't
we
need more
don't need, we
kids so that
don't
we
have
can,
that.
be
We don't
productive.
have this rites of passage initiation process where men go off with the men and the girls, why can't that? And for me, it's like, when you look at this historical mode of parenting, a lot of that was because the men would go off and do the hunting, take the young boys with them. In some of the cultures that I've seen around the world, I've lived and worked in over 50 countries now. I've traveled to more, but lived and worked in a very different distinction. I'm seeing young boys as young as 6 wielding a beautiful knife and cutting, the fish, and they've got machetes and they're clambering up these trees with a machete attached to them, hacking down the bananas on the banana plantations, and I remember my ex-mother-in-law having an absolute fit because my youngest son is opening the oven door with the oven gloves on at the age of 5, taking the roast chicken out the oven and putting it on the dining room table. She's having a dicky fit, right? She really is like, oh my God, he can't. I was like, why can't he? He's just proven he can do it.
Yeah.
He's, my boys have been cooking and cleaning since they were old enough to do so.
Right.
Because if with the way my marriage was, we had a lot of international clients, so my ex-husband was away a lot. And if I said to them, if I get sick, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to school in dirty clothes? Are you going to just live on toast? Which they will say, oh, can we have cheese on toast every day? No, you
Yeah, I was
can't.
going to say, that's not much of a
If you want to go to school in dirty clothes, you got to do your own laundry. You want to, and I would always say to them, if you're not prepared to pay to stay in your bedroom, if you walked into your bedroom if you walked into a hotel room and it was in the same state that your bedroom is in right now, would you be prepared to stay in it? No. I'm like, well, then get in that bedroom of yours and get it clean, and so that you would be happy to pay me to stay in that room. And that's been the standard. If you're not willing to pay to stay in your room, you don't get to sleep in your room. And that might sound really tough. And there are people that, I've done parenting podcasts before, and, and again, it's like, I know I'm going to be triggering a lot of people on your podcast. I know that. But again, it's like, because they're not willing to see somebody else's point of view or understand where someone else is coming from. I have seen far too many mothers destroy who they are and their love of parenting. They're exhausted. They're like, oh, when is this going to end? They're snapping at their kids. They're avoiding being a parent by scrolling social media. They're looking for inspiration outside of themselves. Look at your children for inspiration. Your children are telling you who they are. And if you don't like your children, then you've got problems. Yeah. But again, it's like when you're in a restaurant. I've got a podcast episode coming out on the truth serum, where I was just like, you know what? If your child, I'd been in a cafe. So this is kind of like, I'll give you a bit of pre-context for this. I'd been in a cafe, and I was there and I was working, and there was another couple there that, were having a nice romantic meal. It was lunchtime. So, and then there was this mother and her son. and he'd got his device, and all I could hear over the music of the cafe,
Right.
and he was sat well over there, like, and I was like, por favor, the música es muy alto. The music is too loud.
Right.
Can you give him some headphones or engage with your son? Because I don't want to hear whatever game that is.
Right.
That's disrespectful. How can you, like, I mean, this again, it's like, and she was really offended. She was so, and I was like, how can you not, like, people are letting you know that they're not happy, and I'm the only one speaking up. But when I see parents and children all having a meal together and they're not talking with each other, they're all on their own devices. And, you know, the other day I saw a mother on her phone and her child fell over, and she was only like a tiny little way away from the edge of the marina. Wow. And her mother's like too busy on her phone. I mean, she might have been organizing a taxi. She might have been doing it, but
I mean, I think that's the clarity, really. Even the person in the restaurant, or when you see people, you know, everybody on their phone, maybe this is just their time and they have other time. The praise is,
exactly,
or the hope is other times that they really do connect, and maybe it's not.
Yeah, but again, it's about respecting the people around you.
Oh, that is absolutely. That's just,
you know, I don't want to hear your child. I don't have children with me, and I really don't like a lot of other people's children. And it's not because I don't like the children. It's like I don't like the way that they've been raised.
Right.
Because there's a lack of manners, there's a lack of respect. And I you know, as someone who works in cultural diversity and human rights,
right,
I get that every culture is very different. Again, I've lived in over 50 countries, but you know, if you're, it's just, I'm just baffled because this family, the children were trying to ask questions of the parents. And I get the incessant questioning, you know, like I've been through that. I've been a teacher and I'm a parent. I get the incessant questioning. But again, it's like we have to look at how we're setting our children up to either thrive or fail in community. Are they going to be part of a thriving, successful world, or are we setting them up, like I said, setting them up to fail, or setting them up to be alienated, you know, by saying, oh no, darling, you can do absolutely whatever you want. You know, you're just perfect
around you.
And you know what, you're going to become a really obnoxious individual that nobody really likes because you expect everything
but
your
you still
way.
love mummy. You'll come home because mummy thinks you're wonderful.
And mummy's your best friend, so you don't need other friends. You know, and this is the thing. And I know that some of the things I say really will trigger a lot of people. And it's not because I want to be mean. It's not because I want to be arrogant or obnoxious. It's because, like I said, I've been a coach for 22 years. I've seen the wounds that these old models of parenting. It has to change. It absolutely has to change. And, you know, I'm really excited that we're doing this. And, you know, we've got this new project coming up in the new year that we're starting. That's in January 22 for those of you who are listening to this next year. In January 22, we've got this project that we're working on together, and I'm really excited. And, you know, I think it's time we called time on a lot of these old wounding, negative, toxic, mummy martyrdom, all of those things. It's time to change the way we parent.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you for being here.
You're very welcome. It's
always eye-opening.
Yeah, molecule shaking.
That too. Thank you for being here, and for everybody who's listening, all of how you can reach Dawn and all of her contacts and things, which have been narrowed down. Now she's off social media, but you'll still be able to find her. And
dawnbates.com/sign. Yeah, you're very welcome.